Yes, I'll give you my opinion on that. So if you're gonna do that, so there's a specific. I don't recommend it, but if you were to do it, I'll give you my opinion. Like if you were to do it, like the way to do it. So like when I know Bowman Chrome just came out, so like when a product comes out, it's super inflated. Do not buy in the beginning. It always dies down. Like it'll literally get cut down in like half. Like Julio Rodriguez's Topps Chrome autos, like that came out in like September, are down in half from when they came out. It's just how it works, right? There's a lot of excitement when a product comes out. So if you want to buy a specific player, don't buy it right when it comes out, because off the bat you're gonna lose like 50%, just from natural like deflation, I guess is the best way to say it. And then the next thing I would say is like, if you're buying a player, like here's the thing that's tough. So like if you're buying a player to prospect, and he gets called up to the majors, it's so difficult to be successful in the major leagues. Like I could only name like a handful of players where like they've sustained their value in the past 3, 4, 5 years. Even like Mike Trout, his value is down in the past couple years. Like Aaron Judge is up. Even like Ronald Acuna, who's a great player, he's down from the past like year or two. Like it's so difficult. Like going back to, were you here in the beginning?
I was not.
You were not. So like this will relate to you. So like I said in the first thing I said was 50% of NFL quarterbacks drafted in the first round out of the league within 5 years. So like scouts who spend their whole lives and have hundreds of millions of dollars to find who the next big player is going to be, they can't do it. I definitely can't, and I don't know if you could either. It's very like prospecting baseball is like, it's like, dude, it's hard, man. It's like impossible. I would, if you were a paying student of mine, you came to me with that, I would say, do not do it. That's what I would say, to be perfectly honest with you. If you're having trouble, one of the biggest things people say to me, they'll send me messages saying, I can't sell my cards. I'm having trouble selling my cards, right? So there's two things. Either A, you could be asking too much, or B, the usual problem is you're buying stuff that people don't want. So you're buying the wrong type of stuff. If you're selling like for example, like I say this to not be cocky, I say this to hopefully inspire. Like if you are selling like a Zion Williamson orange prism, number to 49, it's one of his high-end cards. Like I know that is the right type of card to have before the basketball season started. So when I posted it, all I did was post it in one Facebook group, and because I know it was the right card to have at the right time, I had like 9 PMs with like, a bunch of different offers and trade and cash and all this stuff. So like that's because I was buying the right stuff at the right time when it was cheap, and then I was selling it right before the season at the right time. It was the right type of card. Like there's certain like people don't want like certain types of products. They don't want like non-licensed stuff. So like you're either A, you're asking too much, or B, you may just have the wrong type of stuff.
Do you look at the playoffs as sort of a second chance to get rid of the stuff that you held through the season?
No, not really. So like, I mean, it's like the same thing. It's like the same thing as like holding something going into the season. Like you're playing with fire, right? Like, can you get lucky? Yeah. Like Joe Burrow last year in the playoffs went up a lot, obviously, but usually not. Like, I'll give you an example that I think will help answer your question. So one of the most common, this could be like one of the most top 3 common phrases I hear. Should I hold this player? He's about to win Rookie of the Year, right? Doesn't that make sense to like sell a player when he wins Rookie of the Year? Right? Perfect example. So like when Ja Morant won Rookie of the Year, you would think his value would go up. It's perfectly logical. However, it doesn't. Why? Because number one, what happens is if someone's going to win Rookie of the Year, that means he's a very good player. He's been playing very well the whole season. So how well he's been playing is already factored into his price. A trophy is not going to affect it. And number 2, right, business is about supply and demand. So when Ja Morant wins Rookie of the Year, everyone else has the same idea that you have. Oh, I'm going to sell Morant when he gets the award. It's going to be so great. I'm going to be flooded with all these offers. And people can't sell it, right? Because like the demand is only here and the supply is all the way up here. Everyone's listing their Ja Morant cards, right? So that's why like holding for a player when he wins MVP or Rookie of the Year, it does nothing. Like who won MVP? Judge, right? I bet, I haven't looked, but you guys could look. I bet his value's not up. Yeah, right? And this happens every single year.
Start going down even after you hit that.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, it just
You would
plummeting.
exactly. You think it would go up, but just what's happening is baseball's just not going to pick back up until like January, February, right? So like, just winning MVP, winning like a Super Bowl or like that sometimes could jump a player a little bit. Not as much as you think, but like you don't want to bank on a player winning the championship, right? It's pretty rare. So yeah, like holding for MVP, holding for Rookie of the Year, never works ever. So more of like a life thing. Okay, yeah. This is what I love to talk about. So if any of you guys are like into like business and like mindset stuff, there's a guy on YouTube who's like my hero. His name's Alex Hormozi. He's like a beast at this type of stuff. And a lot of this lessons, his name's Alex Hormozi, Hormozi. A lot of these things I'm about to say, like I learned directly from him. Like I follow very few people, but like every day when I sit down for lunch, I open up YouTube and click his channel to see if he has any new videos. That's how religiously I follow him. Him and Colin Cowherd, I follow. But so like, if you want to succeed in let's say business, right? Because we're talking about business. So like, I could talk about like my coaching program, Major League Profits. So at this point, we have like 12 employees and we're a 7-figure business. But like, if you want to be specific, like I failed so many times, it was ridiculous. So when I first got into business, like, and I'm gonna wrap. There's a point to this. I'm gonna wrap around. So like, I tried to start an Amazon store, failed miserably. I probably lost like $12,000 to $15,000, and the way I was supporting this craziness was through sports cards. I was still flipping sports cards. So like, I failed that, and then drop shipping. Like the whole thing about how I lost the money. I'll give you the short story. So like, so I failed at the Amazon business, probably lost like 12 to 15,000. And then I basically said to myself, you know what? Failure is part of it, right? You have to keep pushing. So I joined another coaching program course that cost me probably $5,000 and to learn drop shipping. And in college, like technically I ended up flunking out of college because of this. All I would do is focus on like trying to grow this online e-commerce store, like selling women's apparel. And I failed for like, for like 4 or 5 months. I finally got one off the ground. I was making good money for about a month, and my supplier, who was like supplying the products I was selling, was not making them up to par. And he basically, like, I probably sold like $50,000 worth in products, and I found out after about a month of selling that my supplier was false advertising. All the stuff was not good, and I got slammed with returns and lost all the money I had. I was broke right after I graduated college. But the reason I'm telling you all this is like, it's literally like failure is a requirement for success. Whether I'm talking about sports cards or anything. So like you cannot. It's literally impossible to succeed without failure. It's like, I don't know like how old you guys are, but like when you go to like math class in high school, like you're gonna learn algebra 2. You cannot learn algebra 2 without learning algebra first. It's just a type of math. So like, but the reason I'm giving you this example is because it's a requirement. You literally like cannot start a business. Like no one ever just like got up and just started like making money right away. Like if you look at all the great like business guys like Jeff Bezos and you look at their stories, like they failed miserably. But like the one thing they have in common, like all great business guys, is they're super stubborn. They won't give up. Like the biggest problem with people that come into my program, people who start other online businesses, people who do whatever, is they have shiny object syndrome, which is the worst thing to have. So like, for example, like they'll like get into sports cards, buy a card and be like, you know what? I broke even, I didn't really make any money. Let me try like doing this online. And then like, let me try like doing this. And like, let me try starting a cleaning business. Let me try going into crypto, stocks. Like it's hard enough to succeed at one. You can never succeed at multiple. The only person to succeed at multiple is Elon Musk. He could do 2. He's a genius. Other than that, you can't. Just shiny object syndrome is like a disease. Like everything in life works. So this is a great quote I got from that guy, Alex Hormozi. Like everything in life works. So like you could start a garbage business. You could start a janitor business. You could start a dishwashing business. You could start a restaurant. You could start a sports card coaching program like I did. Everything in life works. You just have to force it to work, right? Like if you try to do multiple things and you devote 30% of your attention here, 40% here, 20% here, you'll never succeed at anything. If you do everything, you do nothing, right? So like if you want to make money in sports cards, don't try doing sports cards and crypto, right? It's hard to be good at one. How are you going to be good at two, right? It's just something I tell people all the time. Like, and I'm guilty of it too. Like, in the beginning of like getting into all this online stuff, like I was like, trying Amazon and then trying this and that. Like, you just have to stick with one and force it to work. Like, I got lucky. Like, when I got into sports cards, I was not aware of like online businesses and stuff. So like throughout college, like all I knew was sports cards. And who knows, if I knew other things, I probably would have had shiny object syndrome because I was a young kid. So like, I stayed with sports cards for like 6 years straight of just like flipping sports cards before I started something else, which was teaching people how to make money with sports cards. So like, but back to what you were saying, like failure is a requirement for success. Like, you can't learn how to multiply if you don't learn how to add, right? It's the same concept.
I have this online business and I have really good cards on there, but I can't get enough attention for people to buy them.
In sports, so usually attention is like a currency. So like nowadays, attention is the golden currency. Like to make money, you need attention. But actually in sports cards, it's not like that. So like if you're having trouble selling your cards, that probably means you're just buying the wrong type of stuff. Like, even I have a big presence in like kind of a big presence in like the sports card world, and like I teaching people how to do it. But like my sports card flipping business, like all I really have is a Facebook that has, and my logo picture is just a picture of a card, and like no one knows who I am. But because I just post the right stuff at the right time, like the stuff people actually want at fair prices, they sell. Like, people don't even know who I am, and they'll offer me thousands of dollars for my cards because I'm just posting like the right stuff at the right time. So like people will ask me all the time, like, is it the best place to go? Facebook, eBay, Instagram? Like, I prefer Facebook. That's where I met a lot of my connections and know a lot of my guys. But I have students that make a boatload off Twitter, who only stick to eBay, who just do Instagram. Like, but the common theme is they're buying the right stuff at the right time and selling the right stuff at the right time. So like, no matter if you're posting, like, for example, like in like 3 months from now, before the baseball season starts, Bobby Witt's going to be a very, very hot player, probably. Not a guarantee, but probably. If you go and try to sell a Bobby Witt Bowman Chrome Auto, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, eBay, Twitter, card show, it doesn't matter. It will sell wherever. So like, I wouldn't focus so much on like where you're selling the card. I'd focus on what you're buying. So this is exactly what I would do if I was in your guys' shoes. So one, any memorabilia, I would auction on eBay. I'd probably send it to a consignment guy. So my consignment guy is Meserich Shipping Services. His name is Brock Meserich. You guys can use, I'd probably send it to DC Sports 87. I used to use him. He's like very clean, efficient. Like, he has like a dashboard, a login. You can see when everything's selling. Any memorabilia, I would just sell right away. And any graded cards, I would actually sell. So I would just consign multiple things, or just everything I could to get the cash back. And then the not graded baseball stuff, I would look at that stuff very closely and see if it's gradable. So like, what a lot of my students are doing right now, and what I used to do a lot, is I call it seasonal bulk buying. In my coaching program, we call it SBB, seasonal bulk buying. And how it works is like this. So like PSA right now, the lowest service is $15, okay? So $15, you could send a card to PSA and probably get it back in like 6 to 8 weeks. So they're quicker than you think. So what you could do is like a Bobby Witt Bowman Chrome Auto right now, not auto. So a non-auto Bowman Chrome Bobby Witt is like $8 to $10. A PSA 10 is about $70 to $80. A PSA 9 is about $20 to $25. So if you buy 10 of these, and these lower end cards are, one, they're very easy to find. Two, there's a lot of ones that are really gradable, especially on eBay, because people don't want to grade this stuff because they're too lazy, because they don't want to send in a $20 card. And three, you buy a bunch of it. Think about it. If you go out and buy 10 Bobby Witt Bowman Chrome Autos for $80 total, and then you spend another $15 each to get graded, and if you have a sort of a clue of what you're doing, 50 to 60% should get a 10, you'll sell each one for $80. Now on top of it, the reason why it's called seasonal bulk buying is because right now, it's a great time to buy baseball. So like, think about it. If you're gonna, I know my mind's kind of like all over the place. Sometimes I go a little bit fast. So if I'm going fast, just let me know and I'll slow down. So like, if you're gonna send a card to get graded, right? And it's gonna sit in the grading company for 2 months. Wouldn't you wanna buy something that's gonna appreciate in value? What's gonna appreciate in value from now to March? Baseball, right? God forbid, a player could always get hurt, of course. Like, it happens every year. Like, there's a player or two that gets hurt. But like, if you buy like, this is what a lot of my students do, and one of my coaches, his name is Joe DiMattia, this exact process of what I'm telling you, he joined my coaching program with $1,000, and he turned it into 30 grand in 6 months from doing this exact thing. Like, he would buy baseball, so like right now, for example, a bunch of like Bobby Witt, Bowman Chrome autos, Marcelo Meyer, Jordan Lawler, non-auto, I keep saying auto, non-auto, Bowman Chrome for like stuff $10, $20, $30, submit the crap out of them to PSA. A lot of them are gradable. 70 to 80% of them get a 10. And when he gets them back, like a PSA 10 Bobby Witt right now is $70 to $80. But when you get it back from PSA in February and March, when he's appreciated, now all of a sudden it's going to be $100 and $110. So like, you're timing the market to your advantage, right? And this stuff is easy to find. It's low risk. It's not like you're spending $1,000 on a card. And like, if it gets a PSA 9, you'll lose $5 to $10. But if it gets a 10, you're making 60 to 70, and you have hundreds of cards or dozens of cards out there. And then you do it with baseball, then you do it with football and basketball, and that's why it's called seasonal bulk buying. You just keep moving per season. I'm not a big fan of a website. I'm a big fan of like what you're doing, like opening up cards on like YouTube and Instagram, like building a brand on there. But even me, like, we've done millions of dollars in sales, my coaching program, and we have a website, but we got it like, just because we had to, and we never use it ever. So like, websites are outdated. Social media is the place. If you want to make money, social media is the place to be, and that's where to focus on. Yeah, knowledge is king. So like, the most important thing is to make money, and that comes from having the right knowledge and buying the right stuff at the right time. So that is what you want to focus on. And like me, you guys have probably never seen me flipping cards on social media. My brand is almost non-existent from flipping cards on social media, but I've sold millions and millions of dollars in cards to social media because I've gotten the right connections. So like, connections is more important than brand. So like, I've been at card shows all over the country, and my phone is loaded with dealers and connections and people with high-end cards always looking to buy and sell. Connections is more important than brand. If you're breaking, which I don't teach, but if you're like breaking open boxes and cases, brand is important. If you're flipping cards, it helps, but it's a lot of work for minimal return. Like, you could have no brand, but have 500 dealers' contacts in your phone, and that's way more valuable. Yeah, so that's a good question. So it's another common question I get, like, do you do Pokemon or comic books or anything? So the problem with Pokemon, well, I'll use Pokemon as an example. So like, baseball has new guys every year and like has rookie cards that come out. So like Jackson Chourio, the dude that just came out, his rookie cards are very valuable because that's his first rookie card, like it's brand new. Pokemon does not continually produce original cards because there's only one original set from Pokemon in 1999. So like, it just doesn't have that same appeal and desire. There's no originality to it. There's only one original Pokemon set. That's it. Just one from 99. And yeah, there's cards that come out and they're worth some, but like with basketball and baseball and football and hockey, you can predictably rely on every year there being 3 to 5 good rookies and these cards selling for good amounts of money. So like, the money is just not there. If that answers your question, it's just not there. Like, I bought and sold them before, just, gotten a good deal on one or something, but if you want to consistently make money, it's just not there.
Of how Fanatics is going to impact the market.
Baseball will not change. They're like, why would they change it? They know Bowman Chrome's really good. Like, they're not going to change it. It'll be interesting to see what happens with I don't predict much change to happen. So like, a similar change that happened, I'm not like, I'm not like this like guy who's been flipping cards since 1980 because I was not even born then. So like, I'm not this expert on history, but like, it's a similar change to like Upper Deck used to make basketball. Like LeBron James' rookie card is Upper Deck, right? Or Topps. Like, he has Topps and Upper Deck. So like, when Panini took over the licensing in 2012, they looked at what Upper Deck did, and they were like, okay, so like LeBron had like a Topps Chrome, so like Topps is not Upper Deck, but like they looked at the basketball market and was like, okay, Topps Chrome is good. People like non-auto basketball, and people also like these exquisite cards that have these nice patches in them, and they sell for lots of money. So we're gonna do the same thing. So Panini said, okay, let's do the same thing. So they made Prism, which is like Topps Chrome, right? Like this non-auto card that sells well as a PSA 10, like has different colors. And then their version of Exquisite is National Treasures. So probably not much will change, to be perfectly honest. There will probably be some excitement, honestly, but not much will change in my opinion. Yeah, it's not much. I don't think much. I could be way wrong. Who knows? But not much will change.
Block cards and stuff like that. You would consign it to someone just to make sure money.
Yeah, I would just dump it. But like a consigner's not going to take cards that are worth like 50 cents.
Okay.
But ComC will. I've never used them before, but you could send them like cheap cards and they'll sell. But yeah, like if I was just like, that's what I tell a lot of students to do when they join my program. Like they usually have a bunch of cards in them. They didn't really have much of a clue of what they were doing. Not saying you do or don't, but like usually what they do is one of my coaches will be like, okay, they'll sit down with them and say like, okay, these cards you should buy and get graded. They look like they're good condition. You can make some money on them. Send them off to here. The rest, you're gonna try to move yourself, and this is how, or consign them. I would just try to reset.
So in terms of connections, what's the best strategy? Just go to sports card shows?
Shows is good, but like having dealers as connections isn't that good. Why? Because like when they're selling you a card, they're gonna try to charge you a lot, and when they're buying from you, they're gonna try to pay really cheap, right? So they're not the best connections to have. The best connections to have is like the way to get these connections is implementing what I'm saying, like selling the right stuff at the right time, like Bobby Witt stuff and Marcelo Myers stuff when baseball begins, or when it's about to begin, and then you'll all of a sudden see like you have like 8 people PMing you on Instagram, and like these are regular people. Like, you want like regular people's connections, like people with money but aren't like too invested in the sports cards and don't do it full time. You don't want people like me as connections, honestly. You want people that like the financial advisors of the world that kind of do it on the side, spend a lot of money, like to do it. And the way to meet these people is like posting good stuff at the right time, and you'll see your DMs will be flooded, and have a conversation, do a deal with someone, be like, hey man, what's your number? I'll hit you up if I ever have any more of this card, and then you'll just build your contact list like crazy. Yeah, that's a good question. So one thing I would say is if it's not broke, don't fix it. So if you're making good money buying $50 cards, just do more of it, right? It's like have you been here for the whole presentation?
In and out.
In and out. So were you here when I was talking about shiny object syndrome?
I was.
So you're having that's like shiny object syndrome like within a business. So like it's one thing to have. So like I'll give you an example with my business, and then hopefully it'll relate back to what you just asked me. So like in my business, like Major League Profits, where I teach people how to make money buying and selling sports cards, that's all I focus on. I'm very focused on it. I don't try starting other businesses and stuff. But within my business, like I can get shiny object syndrome. Like one day I could be focusing on like how to get better at Instagram. Then the next day I could be focusing on like running Facebook ads. The next day I could be focusing on like training my sales team and how to get better at that. So I'm getting shiny object syndrome within my business, which is bad and lethal because you'll never get anything done. And you do the same thing within sports cards. Like focus on one, be relentless at it, and then once you're perfect, then go on to the next thing. Like my sweet spot was like a little bit different than what you're saying, but it was like $500 to $1,000 cards from like 2015 to like 2020 or maybe like 2019. That's all I really did. Very rare I got outside of that zone, and I was an expert at it. And then I started getting into the bigger cards, like slowly, and I worked my way up, and then I had that big card where I lost 30 grand on, which wasn't fun, but yeah, so like there's no need to fix something if it's not broken. I would say like the biggest thing that's helped me in business, like the way I grew like my business Major League Profits is like it was a business in the beginning and we were doing like okay, and then the way we really grew is by investing in people that like I pay a lot of people a lot of money that are smarter than me and make more money to teach me what they know. Like you should invest, whether it's, I'm not saying buy my program or pay someone else that is good with sports cards or what. yeah, because like that's the way to succeed in life. Like I pay like, just to kind of put it in perspective, like how severely I take it. Like I pay this specific person, he lives in Arizona, $60,000 a year for business mentorship. So it's super important. Like if you, like I tell people this all the time. Like you're gonna either like, and this isn't just sports cards. This is just business. Like if you want to start a business, like a sports card business, like this is like my go-to saying. Like you could join our program, or you could not. But if you're dead set on making a side income with sports cards, you are gonna pay for this program. You're either gonna pay for it with your money right now, or you're gonna pay for it with years of your time. Which one do you want to do? Don't. I wouldn't do the route I did, where it took me like 4 years to like start to like really be consistently profitable, because I didn't have a real mentor. I had my friend who helped me here and there, but like he wasn't like a mentor I could like knock on his door whenever and like just message him whenever and give me a bunch of answers. I'm a results-driven person, so this specific guy, if you want to look up his name's Cole Gordon. He basically teaches like sales professionals how to be better and placing them in a job. An ad, and his business, like I know he's one of the top of the game. And his business does about $2 million a month in revenue. So, like, bottom line is like one of the biggest things I learned in business, like when Major League Profits first started, is like keep your ego at the door. Like, bottom line, this guy makes way more money than me. He knows way more about me. He's been doing it for way longer. I'm gonna blindly say what he does. And like I paid him, and he's helped me a lot, but. Yeah, when it comes to mentorship and coaching, like you have to like let your ego at the door. Like one of the things I see in my coaching program is like people will pay us, join the program, and 3 days in, they're like, yeah, I know you're saying this, but I think I should do this. I'm like, didn't you just pay me a decent amount of money to get into my program? Don't you want to learn from the person you paid instead of trying to do your own thing? Isn't that what got you here in the first place? And I say that to not sound like, you know, a mean person, but like I'm flawed in a million different ways. But when it comes to sports cards, I've done pretty well for myself. So like, that's what I tell people. But yeah, when it comes to mentorship, leave your ego at the door, blindly listen to the person, do everything that he says at the highest possible level and execute, and then adjust from there if adjustments need to be made. But yeah, the biggest thing, like you guys, I don't know how much you guys know about like coaching and mentorship and stuff, but one of the biggest things you'll see, even if you type my name in on Google, like Eric Michael scam, you'll see people say like, this thing's a scam, like it doesn't work, blah, blah, blah. Like you'll see it all, any coach. But the reality of coaching is like, it's actually not a scam. Like the person has done it, he succeeded with it. It's usually people don't want to execute at a high level because it does take some work. Like I could tell you exactly what to do. I give you my whole coaching program, do this, and that, watch these videos, write these documents, do everything, but it takes work. Some people think, you know, it's a get-rich-quick scheme, but a get-rich-quick scheme doesn't exist in life. So that's the biggest thing I would say. Like,